What's up, you guys? It's your boy Pretty Boy Floyd, and this is the second video of my 25 things I learned by 25. This is still part of the Jamaican proverbs series, and we are going to be having a conversation with Nana. Nana is a very wise Jamaican, and growing up, she used to tell me a lot of sayings that didn't make sense when I was younger. But as I gotten older, now they're starting to make sense, and I'm starting to make new connections with the more books that I've read and the more life experience that I've gotten. So I'm going to show you guys a quick phone call that I had with Nana, and she's going to explain this Jamaican proverb to you guys real quick, and I will elaborate on that when we come back. No, remember when I didn't make up my bed, and you used to always say you don't know what's gonna happen to you if somebody like comes in. Like what would you used to say?
I used to say you're supposed to make your bed up first thing in the morning before you leave, and you don't know what's gonna happen to you. If somebody out with the window, somebody has to bring you back in. Yeah, that's if in case you like when you go to school, supposed to go to school getting an accident, and some of your friend have to come home with you. You don't want to put them come home with you because your bed not make up.
Right.
That's what it means. So you're supposed to make your bed up the first thing when you get up. Then say your prayers.
So to me, making up your bed is a form of self-respect. Being an adult, part of being an adult is picking up after yourself. So even though that you're gonna mess it up again when you get back, from school or from work or whatever, you should still come home to a nice, clean house. You should still come home to a made-up bed. Because let's say if you had like a terrible day at work or just a terrible day in general, you can come back home to a clean bed. Not only that, but making up your bed is the first task in the morning, and it's also something that's that can easily be done, and it's your first accomplishment for today. So it's like the catalyst for all the other stuff that you have to check off your checklist today. I don't know about you guys, but I love coming home to a clean house. It makes me feel like my life isn't in shambles. If I have a bad day and I come home to a dirty house that's messy and clothes all over the place, bed is unmade, I feel like I need to catch up, or for some weird reason things are falling apart. I feel like things are falling apart. The way that you take care of your house and the way that you take care of your space says a lot about you. I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience, but I have. I remember going over to friends' house who have like really big houses, nice houses, but when you go inside, it looks like these guys could have mansions, but when you go inside, it looks like a house that should belong in Section 8. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And to me, I feel like this says a lot about somebody. It's almost as if it says like you're ungrateful for what you have, because for me, I know that if I work hard for something, and I know if I work hard for something really nice, I'm going to do my best to take care of it and maintain it. I told you guys in the past, it's not about making it, it's about maintenance. It's like, can you maintain the things that you have, So sometimes you guys are on this journey and it's like, yo, it's taking forever to get this thing, but just know that you're building character, and just know that when you get those things, you'll be able to maintain it better than other people. And I'm not saying that those people who have big houses and mansions don't deserve it because they can't keep it clean or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I think everybody deserves the best. But what I am saying is that I'd rather have a small house and be able to maintain it than a big ass house and it just be trashed. I don't know. I really don't care about having a big house. I'd rather spend my money on other things than my house. And I want to be able to clean it every day, and I want to be able to have it look organized and nice, because I really feel like what's on the inside of a house really matters. And not only that, but the way that people take care of their house, they're probably going to do the same thing with your house. And I remember I was talking to my friend the other day, and he said one of his boys had came over or whatever, and he says yo, he always leaves cups around, he always leaves trash around, he always leaves things around. And I remember he told me that he popped off on him, yo, pick up your stuff, this is crazy. No, he said he popped off on him because he spilt a drink and he didn't clean up after himself, and he didn't even tell him. So he popped off on him because of that. And you have to realize too, when people do that, sometimes they could be doing it unconsciously, meaning that they probably do it at their house too. So like, do you want to be like one of those guys that come over and like leave shit, and like now you're being a pest? Like, you're supposed to be a guest, but like you're being a pest right now, and now you're leaving shit and you're making somebody else's house dirty. And again, like I said, it could be an unconscious thing because, you know, people are raised differently. Like, some people nowadays, like their parents don't make them do chores. Like when I grew up, my mother cleaned the house every week and I had chores to do every day. But, you know, every week when we like detailed the house, it was just like, I get the bathrooms, I get my room, I vacuum, you know, the floors, like things like that. And I realize now that a lot of kids aren't raised that way nowadays. And I feel like maybe their parents felt like it was like, I don't know, maybe they didn't really rock with like their parents making them do chores, and maybe they never had to do chores. So like it was just passed down that like, you know, don't make your kids do chores for some reason. I don't know. Like, I'm not some fucking genealogist. Like, I don't want to study like families and shit like that. But what I'm talking about is that like a lot of people are raised differently. So you can't necessarily blame somebody for like doing that. But you know, the advice that I gave to him was just like, maybe you shouldn't go 0 to 100 because maybe he doesn't know like he's doing that. You know, for me, I don't like to go 0 to 100 because sometimes when I do that, number one, if I'm going 0 to 100, just know that like it's probably because I'm thinking in my head like it's not that big of a deal to bring up, you know, don't worry about it, brush it off, blah, blah, blah. And then I do that enough times and it builds up, and then that's when I go 0 to 100. So if you ever encounter one of these friends, I would say like, you know, be a little sympathetic, be a little you know, considerate that maybe they weren't raised the same way as you. You know, just be like, hey man, when you leave, can you pick up your stuff, you know, afterwards? You know, go like from 0 to 20, 0 to 50, then you can go to 0 to 100. Because I feel like, you know, like sometimes when you say some shit and you keep saying some shit and then they still do the same shit, then it becomes disrespectful, and I don't like that. So that's the importance of making up your bed in the morning. And it's like, yo, like that's the first thing that you have to do. Part of being an adult is picking up after yourself. So yeah, if you're not already doing it, you need to start making up your bed. So yeah, I also hate when like I have to tell like my friend like, you know, like something that makes it feel like I'm like little broing him, or like something that's like, it makes me feel like I'm being condescending. You know, it sucks to like talk to another man and like tell him like to do something that should be like expected, and it makes you feel weird. Like it makes you feel like, you know, how am I going to come at like, you know, how does a man come at another man in a way that's like respectful, or like in a way that's like, you know, not trying to little bro him, or not trying to feel him, or not trying to make him feel like less than a man. It's kind of hard to do that, but like I said, and I feel like that's the main reason why people don't, you know, bring things up when they first see it. Maybe they think, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I'm gonna brush it off. But me, as I've gotten older, and the more that I'm starting to learn about myself, the more I'm starting to not let those little things slide, and bring them to attention like when they first start happening, because I know myself. If I keep on, you know, pushing under the rug and I keep on letting things go, I'm going to go from 0 to 100. And I don't want to go 0 to 100 because I feel like a lot of times that's unnecessary and it can create tension. So it's all about communication. You know, you have to just learn how to communicate with people, and how to come to, and you need to know how to come to them correctly. And one of those things is practicing like how to be assertive without like coming off in a condescending way. So yeah, it just takes practice, you know. So just think about that next time that like something bothers you about a friend. For example, when they come over and they leave shit, like even in your car too, like, you know, just politely tell them like, hey man, like last time you left cups in the car, do you mind like taking them out when you get out of the car? You know, just little things like that. Like try to be polite, and then you can be more assertive like the more times it's done. at least some of you guys should be taught by your parents. If you have good parents, they should be telling you to pick up after yourselves, because that's the right thing that you should be doing. Now, I know that growing up, I realized that a lot of kids didn't have the privilege to have parents like that to tell them to pick up after themselves. But for me, I've had parents tell me to do chores, make up my bed in the morning, which back then it was just like kind of irritating. But now, since I've gotten older, I see how it's affected me, and now I see that I'm like cleaner than most people. I pick up after myself. I have manners. I remember going over to my friend's house when I was younger, and my mom would really like get at me about having manners. You know, before this was like the first time I ever like slept over a friend's house. My mom would like trust to me, say yes ma'am, no sir, yes sir, no sir, ask for permission, pick up after yourself, say please and thank you. You know, always be on your P's and Q's when I'm over somebody else's house. And as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that like when you're over somebody's house, like I don't care if like they tell you like, hey man, make yourself at home, blah, blah, be comfortable. Like, do not get too comfortable at somebody else's house. To me, it's a privilege and it's a gift for somebody else to let you come into their house. So I want to quickly talk about why my mom would like constantly tell me to like always say thank you and please and have manners. When I was younger, going over to my friend's house. Now, since I'm older, it's just second nature. That's what I do when I'm over at a friend's house. But basically, when you get older and when you do have kids, I don't have any kids, but those kids are representing you when you go over to somebody else's house. And their parents are going to be judging you and seeing what kind of litter you come from. Like if you come from a good litter, a bad litter. So, for example, a good litter is like a kid that comes over, he cleans up after himself, he asks his permission, he doesn't, take things without asking, and then like he's not being annoying, he's not in the way, things like that. So like when you're a guest, just realize that like there's a thin line between a guest and a pest, like you can quickly become annoying because now you're occupying somebody else's space. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that. It's really important that you realize that my mom is like telling me to have manners and be respectful to people's space when I'm in their house, because like I'm representing her, like I'm representing my mom here, So again, their parents are going to be saying like, he doesn't come from a good house, or, oh, wow, he was raised like really good, he comes from a good house. So it leaves a good impression on the people that you're around. So I just wanted to say that, just because I forgot to talk about that. But back to the video. So another example that like what Nana said was like if something could happen to you, meaning if you got seriously injured or if you died, like people will still judge you. People will judge you after you die. And I'm an advocate of not caring about what other people think, but let me quickly elaborate on what I just said. So let's say like you invite people over to your house, and like you have dirty dishes, the shower's dirty, the floors are like everything's dirty. Do you think that they're gonna feel comfortable, like when you try to accommodate them with food, or a place to stay, or sitting somewhere that's like dirty? Like I feel like that's not considerate to other people when you do that and when you have a dirty house. So like I said, like like think about going to a hotel. Like, could you imagine if you went into a hotel and like they didn't have maids and the last person like didn't make up their bed? Like it just stayed like that. Like there were no maids, there was nobody to clean up. Like yo, like it's crazy that I have to elaborate on like being clean and like making up your bed, but for real, like this shit, it is crazy how many adults still act like kids. Like it is amazing to me. And this is just one aspect of like adults acting like kids. It's like not picking up after yourself and, having a clean space, because it's not just about you. It's about people that you invite into your home as well. So even like if you get seriously injured, she was talking about like, like what if they have to bring you back into the house? And then they bring you into the house and like their first impression of you is like, yo, like your house really smells, or like, the shit's dirty. They can barely like get you through the door, because like you're a hoarder or something like that. Like, and it's just like, yo, like when it comes to that, type of stuff, like when you make up your bed and when you clean up your room, just remember that it's not just about you, it's about other people too, if you can't do it for yourself, you know. But for me, I like to come home to a nice clean room. So a book that I have to recommend to you guys, because you know Nana's Jamaican proverbs always connect to a book, and it's called Make Your Bed by William Mcraven, and the first chapter is about making up his bed. And when you're in camp, he was a Navy SEAL, so when you're in camp, the first thing that you have to get done is making up your bed, and you have to do it correctly. Like you have to make sure like the angles are right, the corners are tucked in, it's tight, and the drill sergeant will come over, flip a coin, and if it bounces off the bed, then you passed. Now I remember, you know, reading the book and whatnot. I'm not going to go in like chronological order and like, you know, try to follow along with the book, but basically when it came to like making up his bed, he said like that was the first thing that that he got done, and it had to be done correctly in a certain manner. That was the first task, and then after that he would have a hard day at training, but when he came back home he would have a nice bed to look forward to. And in this book he would talk about in training, the drill sergeant would make them do what's called a sugar cookie. A sugar cookie is when like you roll around the sand when you're all wet, you know, after training in the water, you roll around in the sand and you come up and you look like a sugar cookie. So, and he would go and elaborate about the sugar cookie and say that like, even though like he would make his bed up correctly in the morning, the drill sergeant would still make him do a sugar cookie. Or if like you failed at a task or something like that, the drill sergeant would make you do a sugar cookie. So even if you failed or did something like perfectly, you would still end up a sugar cookie. And he talks about in life, you can be treated unfair, and you know, a lot of good people, you know, a lot of bad things happen to good people when they don't deserve it, and life makes you into a sugar cookie. So he says no matter what, like you're still going to be a sugar cookie. Like even if you don't deserve it, you're still going to become a sugar cookie. Don't play the victim. Just keep on, you know, pushing and keep persevering. So yeah, so that's a really good book. It's like 10 chapters, and all of them have to do with like how he connects his lessons from the Navy SEAL training to life. And it's a really good book. If you guys want to give it a read, I highly recommend it. But reading that book definitely had me thinking of Nana's sayings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can you know, push my videos out more. And like I said, we're gonna still keep going with this series. We're on episode 2. Like I said, we got 23 more, so stay tuned, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.